Live. So we are live. Hi, everyone. So again, this is a laid-back conversation. So welcome. This is A Ready CMO Live. We have Katie Blouin. Am I pronouncing it right? Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's correct. Most people get it
Okay.
wrong, so I'm impressed.
It's it's kind of French-ish.
It is. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I live in Italy, so I can't pronounce French words, I guess. So that's cool.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing and what's Larken?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Larken. We are a maternity and postpartum clothing line. We have a patented all-in-one nursing and hands-free pumping bra. That's our hero product. And then we've since launch expanded the line to hit on all the different comfortable essentials that a mom-to-be and new mom needs in her wardrobe to help her make that journey a little bit easier. We launched in 2019. My background is not in the startup world. So I came from the legal world, actually, which is a bit of a more risk adverse path. So this has been a change for me, but
It is.
we've been in business for a little over 7 years. And then prior to that, I was at law firms working with commercial clients, mainly on IP law, copyright, trademark, touched on patent a little bit. And then I went in-house for a number of years at McDonald's, working on marketing law, actually. And so I worked closely with marketing departments there, but on the legal side, and I did food and nutrition law as well there. So I've kind of seen the gamut of types of companies and sizes and industries, and have had an interesting path to where I am today. So my marketing team now looks very different than the marketing teams that I worked with at McDonald's.
Obviously.
Yes.
You came from a really big ship, starting to building your own boat, which became a smaller ship now, right? It's
Yes.
pretty. It's an older brand now, right? Right. So it's like multiple years. It's not like something like a new, like a startup company.
Yes. Yes. So we are 7 years in. We have bootstrapped it. It
Which is
started.
amazing. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks. We still operate very leanly today, but we've scaled it to a multi-million-dollar company. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list the last few years, but it really all started in my guest bedroom, fulfilling shipments out of there. It was actually my mom who sewed our initial prototype. So we have pretty humble beginnings, but we've kind of seen every stage and have sustained that growth over the years.
And I don't want to talk too much about the brand itself, but I assume that it's coming from your own personal problems and challenges, and I can't find this whatever it is to solve
Exactly.
my own problem, so I have to build one, right?
Exactly. So I'm a mom of 3. My co-founder is a
Yeah.
mom of 3. It is very much that story. We had a pain point during our first pregnancies that we couldn't solve the second time around we were pregnant. And so that was the genesis for it. And it ultimately launched right around when each of us had our second daughters at the time.
That's always the best founder story, by the way. Find the problem within your own life, try to
Yeah.
solve it first to yourself, and then for others. And I love that you said that your solution is patented, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously. So
And
if anyone can imagine, obviously.
right. My co-founder is my former law school roommate, actually, and she's a corporate attorney. So we definitely made sure in launching the company, we were very buttoned up on all fronts there.
Probably one of the first things that you did, by the
Yes.
way, after incorporation, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Funny thing, by the way, a personal story. I've actually worked for like 7 years for an IP consulting company that patented ideas for startup companies, which is a
Interesting.
very very weird, small and interesting business to be
Yeah,
in. By the way,
I'm sure you saw.
anyway, so I understand.
Yeah, very cool.
And one thing that I love also about your brand in general is that it's B2C. So most of our readers are B2B marketers,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we rarely have someone to talk about the high scale B2C approach. and I checked your brand as well. And I mean, you do like everything. So
Mhm.
you have Instagram, you generate a lot of content,
A lot of content. Yes.
and I don't know how you do that. Uh,
Yes. So it's been a lot of trial and error, frankly. And
Obviously.
the platforms are constantly changing. I think one thing that helps is what you hit on earlier, which is I am our customer, right? I understand where she lives, what she does, what platform she's on. And so that's helped in that process. We, to this day, we are very lean in that we only have myself and my co-founder who's part-time on as employees, and then we work with agencies and contractors. That's been a
Mm.
vision that has helped us grow the way that we wanted to, but be really nimble in the process as this world is always changing. But we've worked with the same marketing agency over the last over 4 years now, and they've been critical to our growth and have helped us kind of navigate all those platform changes and all the different places we need to be and the content. But yeah, I think that B2C companies in particular now really have to be a media company in and of itself. And for our
Yeah.
audience, it's moms to be. There's a lot that we can do in terms of education and resources for them. So we find that more of our content isn't actually selling the product directly, it's giving them value through education, humor, all of those things. And we just have to find ways to tailor it for the individual platforms and what performs there. And that's a lot of learning as we go, frankly.
Sure. And sorry to follow up on that note that you don't, and I mean, you don't have a team. You have only agencies and service providers who are
Correct.
working with you, right?
Correct.
Especially in marketing.
Yes. Although they've been with us so long and they know our brand so well, and we are in constant communication with them that they feel very much a a branch of our team. But it's just
And
structured differently.
and why did you decide? So it's a really interesting choice, by the way.
Mhm.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
um, because and and I think the uh, only case where I actually saw something like this was for brands who were also bootstrapped.
Mhm.
So where the money was coming from the actual founders and from the revenue from the sales, so not from investments. And because most startup companies, they usually do a round, right?
Mhm.
An investment round, and they use that money to fuel growth,
Right.
which means that they spend partially of that money to payroll, and they try to build a team
Right.
because and the reason it's important to understand, I think, because the more you build a team, the more likely the exit is possible for the founders
Mhm.
at the end, right? So for you, it's a totally different story. You never wanted to build again. This is like a 7 years old brand,
Yes.
very established thing. So it's not like you started just right now. I
Right.
just want to remind everyone. And you still, I mean, you probably had to have like at least every year think about that. Do I need to hire a team or do I have a agency and it's fine and that's cool. The
Mhm.
same agency doesn't matter, but
Right.
still it's an agency. So why did you go with that route? Sorry
No,
for the long question.
no, absolutely. It was definitely it's been a very deliberate decision for a few reasons. One is we have grown year over year since launch, and we've grown quickly, and so with that has come a lot of changing
Ah,
needs, right? And so every year when we've kind of gone through that process that you just mentioned of should we bring this in house now? Should we build out the team? What I would want that team to look like looks different than it looked 6 months ago. And so having an agency and said that they have a team of people who are specialists in different categories has given us access to different buckets of expertise that we can pull different levers at different times versus if I bring in one person who's really good at X, Y, and Z, but then
Mhm.
few months, we realize we really want to build out A, B, and C. Now, do I need to dedicate more funds to bringing in a second person? Do I need to take work away from that person? I have a lot more flexibility to do that when I've got an outside agency who already has the infrastructure for that, and we can move very quickly on those things than if I bring someone in house for that. And so that's really why every year when we have that process of evaluating it, we've stuck with the way that we've worked. And fortunately, because our agency partner has also grown alongside of us, they've got amazing people within those different buckets that we can pull from as needed.
Interesting, interesting, and it's also convenient, I guess. So,
Really,
right? It's like
I will say, I mean, I think that it
like you don't need to manage the people, and
exactly.
I
I
don't know.
got into this business because I actually like the marketing side of it. I wanted to run a company. I wanted to do it on my terms. I didn't start a company because I wanted to be an HR department. So this gives me more flexibility to do more of the work that I love and less of the stuff that I don't want to do. And I think that it's allowed us to grow in a really nimble way and really tap into expertise that maybe we couldn't have brought on as early as we did if we brought it all in house. And
Yeah, and
point about selling, it's interesting because I think, yes, some companies, when they acquire a company, are looking for companies where they can acquire the team with it. A lot of companies are, or buyers are also looking for companies that they can acquire that are really lean, have really little overhead. And so if they're absorbing this team and they don't have to absorb additional team, but they already have the overhead covered there, it allows them to scale in a way without bringing in more expenses. So I think depending on the buyer, it can go either way in different scenarios or more appealing.
I totally understand. And if I would be building a company, any kind of company, I would probably wouldn't go with the team hiring
Yeah.
route either.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I just pay the money for the service that I need, and that's it.
Right.
And I don't want to play out, but I will play out. It's fair if I play out the mom card. So obviously, when you started the company, the kids were young, right?
Yes. They're
So
still young.
and they are still young. So you didn't have the time for, I don't know, like fucking weekly meetings or daily stand-ups or I don't know, like these kind of stuff, right? You
Right.
have to have those
Right. No,
if you're running like a team.
exactly. I'm huge on flexibility. And I think that's also what I love about our model because we work with so many agencies and contractors, and 90% of them are moms. And so, we do that intentionally because they understand our customer, they understand our business. Most of them have lived through the pain points our customers are looking,
Sure.
but also because they know how we're set up and our culture and how I like to work. And I want them to be able to do the same thing. So they can be working from their kids' soccer practice. That we are all completely remote. We are all over the country, all over the world. Actually, we have folks international as well. So it's really about our team culture as a whole and how we've decided we want the company to operate and grow.
Yeah. And they don't need to learn that. They immediately like plug and play it out because they also do the same.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. Cool. This is all cool. Tell me a little bit more about, if you can,
Yeah.
about how you run the company. So you are, sorry if I mess up the titles, but you are two people. So I'm sure no one will get offended. But you are like co-founder and CEO, or probably you run some parts of the
Yes.
business that you run and your partner doesn't run, or something.
Yes. So I'm the co-founder and CEO. I am the one running the day-to-day operations and our main point of contact for the various, again, I call them team members, but they are agencies and contractors.
Sure.
So I kind of touch on all the different departments, and that runs the gamut of our production and managing our raw materials and forecasting and inventory, right? We're a physical goods business. So there's a lot of work that happens there. And I know we'll get into AI, but that's where I'm dedicating a lot of my time right now.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
And then I work closely with our marketing agency, and that is, as you mentioned,
You have a warehouse, by the way.
We do,
Uh,
just outside of
okay.
Chicago. And then we actually do all of our manufacturing in the US as well in New York out of the
Wow.
district. So we brought that all back to the US 4 or 5 years ago. And so have been manufacturing here ever since.
Congrats. That's great.
Yes. So we have a production manager that's on the ground at our factory almost every day and managing that process. And so a lot of my time is spent coordinating with her as well. Um, and a lot of my time is spent on the marketing piece, again, working with our agency. And so that they're helping us on all of our organic channels. They're also helping us on our email strategy, SMS strategy. And then we do a lot to your question before about content and being on all these platforms. We work a lot with UGC.
Yeah, you have like I'm just telling to the audience, you have like a shitload of content. So and it's like it's it's part of the B2C business. So
Right.
you need to chase the algorithm. You have to be everywhere.
Yes.
And it's really hard to do that.
It's really,
Although obviously your brand is a little bit more shall we say it's a nice things to have for like moms and kids and stuff. So it does really well
Mhm.
with the algo, but still in terms of like production side, yeah, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. But that's where I think we've really leaned into the UGC strategy. We do full lifestyle shoots and things like that, especially when we have new product launches, new colorways. But most of our content comes from UGC. And that's in part because our customers want to see a variety of moms wearing the products, right? All kinds of sizes, shapes, backgrounds, all the things, so that they can really see themselves in it too and reflected back to them. And we try and again, make sure that our content really reflects not just selling them the product, but being a value add to them. I don't want to show up in their feed always selling them. I want to show up as a place that makes them feel comfortable during a really hard season of life. And that means giving them resources and a laugh sometimes and all of that. And so that's really the focus in the marketing strategy for sure.
And do you so all of the ideas that you do with the content, I guess the production, and I'm guessing here, the production side, I guess, is handled by the agency itself, right?
Yeah.
Most of the cases, um, and they are obviously supply some ideas as well, but most of the core basics that you have, or like an idea around a new product launch or a new product variation or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
those ideas should come from you, right? Or
Yes. For the most
partially at
part,
least.
absolutely. So, yes, we work closely with our marketing agency on it, but the new product designs and ideas are absolutely coming from us. But now, because we have been in business for over 7 years, so much of it is informed by us because of our own experiences, but also by our customers. I mean, we have so much customer data now. We have close communication with them. We survey them all the time and email us all the time. And so we're hearing exactly what they want, what they're looking for, where they see the gaps in the market. I'm sure we'll talk about AI more, but that's also a big part of where I'm leveraging AI is to
No,
understand.
you no, you usually talk about these things that are given. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just I have to highlight and remind to everyone that not everyone is doing that
Right.
as a generic thing, like
Right.
serving or asking their customers all the time, relying on their own content, user generated content,
Mhm.
using them and making them part of the entire marketing flow. I understand that it's like every day for you,
Right.
uh, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so share more, please.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the ways that I think is the best way we can use AI is in the research and data collection and synthesis in a way that just a human can't do at scale, right? Um, and then we put the human in the loop judgment in place after we kind of collect that and what we do with that data, right? But I have set up agents that are constantly doing social listening. So they're on Reddit, they're on the different platforms, and they're seeing what are folks saying about Larkin? What are they saying about our competitors? What are they saying about what they're looking for that they haven't found yet. What are the pain points that they're mentioning that they maybe haven't found a solution for yet? Or what solutions are they trying, but they don't like? What are the features that they're missing? What's the friction there? And then it's also looking at our reviews. Again, we've been in business for a long time now. We have a lot of reviews. So it's looking for those patterns amongst the reviews on our different platforms that we sell on. It's looking at our competitors' patterns in their reviews as well, or adjacent products. And it's looking at things like, what are people searching for, and where's that demand with the least competition. So those are kind of the white space areas that I'm looking for
Sure.
in terms of where we could develop something innovative to bring to our community. And then we're taking that it's gathering regularly, and we're having it look at it alongside our customer survey responses and analysis of all the different customer service emails we've gotten over the years, right? And it's looking at all of that collectively and finding the patterns, and then finding the gaps and the opportunities there, to either improve our existing products, to launch new products, or an entirely different category, whatever it may be. And then that's where I think you can bring in the real human judgment and expertise, right, from lived experience and being the customer who's experienced that pain point ourselves, to take all of that data and say, okay, this is what we're feeling is like the best direction for this year, the 2-year plan, the 3-year plan, and building from there. But we just are constantly looking at the data on that, and collecting it from a variety of places.
You've touched literal at least 10 different aspects and things that we need to talk about in depth, by the way. And can you tell just like one use case? Because you mentioned that you built like these automations and agents around social media listening.
Yes.
My immediate question of a marketer is that why not using the social media listening tool? Why not outsource it to the agency? Why don't they do that? Um, and so on and so on and so on, right?
Yes.
That's like immediate.
Yes.
Why keeping that if you are keeping that close to your chest?
Mhm.
So yeah, tell me just one use case in a
Yeah.
little bit more depth, please,
So I will say
if
our
we can.
yeah,
We sign every NDA if you need to.
yeah, no, no, no. Historically, our agency has done a lot of that, and they help us put together our survey, run the survey, and that's different teams that we put together that with, right? So I'm getting input from our marketing agency who's saying, this is what we're seeing in email and performing on our website. So this is what we think we have to ask about. But then we have our paid media team that's saying, well, this is what we're seeing, and these are the insights we want. And we have our wholesale team that says, well, this is what's happening on these channels, right? So I would say that whole process is kind of a collective process across different teams. I think, though, the shift that I've made really within the last few months is thinking about, but what now are we capable of doing that's really custom to ourselves? So yes, to your point, there are different social listening tools. There are off the shelf tools we could tap into and that we have used in the past. But I want something that's really custom to exactly what I'm looking for in the different channels I'm focused on, right? So we know a lot of our folks are on Reddit. We know a lot of people are talking on TikTok, but we also have all of these different reviews that we're looking at. And, that's on Amazon, that's on our own site, that's on our wholesale partner site. We also have the customer survey data. So what I'm building that's custom for us is taking all of that together and saying, here are the key questions I want to know this week, 2 weeks from now, et cetera, and helping us turn that into a plan. And I think that off the shelf tools are a great starting point, and there's so much that they've been able to do up until this point, and I think they will continue to get better. But AI has leveled the playing field in terms of what you can build, right? And make really custom to what you care about and the different data inputs that work for you and that you want to synthesize. And when there's that big of a data set, there's just frankly more that the AI can do with that than a human can realistically at, in terms of pattern recognition, not just speed, but in terms of output. And then I think that's where we need to dedicate our time as humans is taking all of that and then again using our own judgment, our lived experience to say, okay, here is everything it's put together, it's spotted for me, what makes sense to me, what feels right just based on my own gut instincts and those sorts of things or my experiences. And similarly, we had that conversation with our marketing team too to understand their perspective because they're working with a lot of other brands and clients, right? So they're bringing additional lenses that I don't have. That's helpful.
Sure, sure. And also your brand is very like well-rounded. Your community and customers are very active, I guess, right?
Yes.
So they're very vocal,
Yes.
very active on social media about the product, and their own experiences in general anyway.
Right.
Like being like a young mother is very it's a conversational topic. They share a lot about that.
Hmm.
People can relate to that and they share more. So obviously, listening to those conversations are crucial for product development for you,
Right.
I guess.
Absolutely.
Um, and you mentioned that you do wholesale as well, which
Mhm.
means that your brand is available in like stores, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so and they have their own review sites and they have their own
Exactly.
whatever channels, right?
Right.
And you need to synthesize that too. So
And it's looking at the data in terms of different both messaging, but also different products perform better or differently on different channels, right? Because each channel kind of has its own unique customer profile. And so, again, that's another great opportunity where AI can take that and spot those patterns to understand here's what messaging might make sense, or here's the products you want to push at this channel, but this is where you might want to focus and what your customers seem to care about when they're shopping directly on your site or whatever it may be. And so that's where I've just found building a custom agent or solution is is given us better output than an off the shelf tool because we can really set the parameters that we care about and the specific questions we have by channel, by product, all those sorts of things.
and that's what I usually say that when you're like a really small company, you should go with off the shelf product because it's like
Yes.
easier
Yes.
easier to scale. If you're a very big company, also you should go with something like either highly custom built or something like Salesforce or like big time off the shelf product. But there is like this where you are right now is like this middle, very well-rounded product, well-rounded audience. Uh, Everyone is all over the place,
Mhm.
so you need to like listen to multiple channels and
Right.
multiple messages. You create again a lot of content.
Right.
You need to obviously funnel that in too as well. I
Mhm.
assume that all the content that you personally generate, I mean the agency generates, is all funneled into these systems anyway,
Yes.
and synchronized with the messaging. So
Right.
yeah, you have like a big nexus or something that you've built around everything,
Yeah, I think I'm still playing with a lot of different tools and figuring out what
which is
works
cool.
best for us, but I've found a few that I really like that I'm going deeper on and trying not to have the shiny object syndrome, right? That I think is easy to have right now with the speed AI is moving and everything that's coming out. But I mean, I think I mentioned this earlier. I look at our company as two main buckets that we are working within, which is the operations and kind of visibility. And visibility is mostly all the marketing and a lot of the
Mhm.
stuff we talked about before. But there's a lot that we do on the operations side, and that's our inventory planning and our production management and our
You
demand.
do that in-house?
So we have a demand
That's
plan.
hardcore, by the way.
It's hardcore. We have a team of people who help with that, and they've been critical to our growth because that is not my background and expertise, and there's a steep
Yeah.
learning curve there. But again, it's another opportunity where we've built out a whole system that is custom to how we work, how our bookkeeper works with the cash flow forecasting, and how that works with the inventory
Oh
plan
my god.
there's a lot of pieces,
Yes.
and a lot of different people that touch that. And so we've been trying to get out of, you know, a 20 tab spreadsheet that's error prone and does not scale with it worked for us maybe 4 years ago, but is not for the stage of business we're at now. And so that's where it's just another big opportunity. We can bring in AI to take out a lot of that manual work and give people a line of sight into all these different buckets of the business that they need to see and get real-time insights to. And then I'm paying them for their judgment and expertise, right? My demand planner is a former buyer for places like Victoria's Secret and massive retail companies. I don't want her spending her time doing formulas in a spreadsheet. I want her
Sure.
data and translating for me what that means in terms of when we're going to be out of stock, what we need to reorder, when, those kinds of things. So I think that's the lens overall for either of those buckets is how can I help my people? I don't look at AI as let's replace everybody. I look at AI as how can I redeploy the work? So how can I pay you for your expertise and your experiences and less for the manual stuff that I can outsource to the AI piece.
I love it. And I immediately got super, super stressed and anxious just by listening to all of this, by the
Sorry, I
way.
didn't mean to.
No, 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 because I do understand. It's like it's so complex, so complicated, and it's so different from like a B2B side of work, right? When
Right,
you have like I don't know $1,000 line items for consulting and stuff,
right,
or just simple digital subscription fees and stuff. You have like actual moving things that are not just line items on a spreadsheet,
right.
but they are actually package deliveries to people and customers and whatever. And I'm not sure how much is the price now, but it's like below $100 or something.
Yes,
So it's not like huge numbers on big spreadsheets. So many little lines of items of and all of these lines mean one people, one person, one customer, one buyer, and I don't know. Package gets misplaced and parcels get not delivered, and I'm already losing my hair. So,
yeah,
so I
yeah,
understand how complicated is this. So,
yes.
congratulations for building for something,
Oh, thank
uh,
you.
for something for this. Um, you are a mom with you said 3 kids.
3 kids, yes.
Congrats,
Ugh,
again. Um, that's like a commitment. So it means that you have less and less time on the business. So as a founder, um, do you have any tricks or tips or how a founder can because our audience is partially founders as well,
mhm,
and they use AI to save time on really odd things usually. So, like, I don't know, transcription for voice memos and stuff like that.
right,
Really simple things. Um, and they are all into hearing how other founders are saving and shaving extra minutes out from their workflows because those minutes matter or can be spent with family.
right,
So,
right.
do you have anything to share that works really well for you?
Yes, I think, I mean, honestly, I could talk for days about this, but I'll
No,
give
please.
a few of my top ones.
I think I triggered you with this.
One you mentioned is I definitely think a dictation tool is amazing. So I do
Yeah.
use Whisper Flow for that. I think that's kind of low hanging fruit that anyone could get started with and would be helpful. Um, I use my note taker for everything, but not just to actually take the notes in the meeting, but to feed it into a system that takes those meeting notes and tells me whether there's content opportunities in there, right? Whether it's for the brand to give people behind the scenes looks at what we're working on, what we want feedback on, those sorts of things, but also for my own personal brand and sharing more there in terms of what I'm working on, what I'm building that sort of work. So I think just with a note taker, there's a lot you can do there. Um, Again, I think there's all kinds of opportunities now with agents to really help with email triage and meeting prep, right? So I
Yes.
have a chief of staff agent that every morning sends me my daily
Wow.
brief. And I think it sounds intimidating, but it's a lot easier to set up than people probably realize. There's different routes you can go. Claude itself is an easy connection to your email and calendar. You can set it up there. I use a tool called Base 44 that I love. And it is a vibe coding app, but they've also launched a feature called Super Agents. And I think of it kind of like the vibe coding of agent building. So I'm a non-technical person. And so anytime
You're a lawyer. What are
I'm
you
a
talking
lawyer,
about?
right? Yes, this is not my world. But anytime a tool, and they're getting better and better every day, right, can make it easier for me to use natural language to build something, that's where I'm spending more of my energy. So super agents are just that, but in agent form. And so it'll walk you through the connections you need to make to your calendar, your email, and then what you want it to do for you. So I have a scheduled automation, and every morning it's scanning my email. It's telling me what's urgent that I need to respond to, what can wait, what I have a lot of newsletter subscriptions, and it's easy for me to lose time reading those, right? It's going to tell me based on what it knows about me and what I care about, like, here's the ones to skip today, here's the summary of the other ones, and here's the ones you maybe want to deep dive on. It also will look at what meetings I have and then brief me for those meetings. So it will tell me, you know, for example, today I had already done my homework, so I knew. Yeah, I'm a listener of the podcast and a subscriber, but just for an example, it would tell me, more about you, what you write about, what you cover in your podcast, so I can be prepared for that. If it's one of my status calls with a team member, it's looking at my meeting notes from the note taker and saying, here's what you covered last week. Here's the open items you'll want to hit this week. So it really is like having an entire additional team member that's working overnight while you're sleeping and then prepping you for your day, which has been pretty powerful. And I think to your
And you don't have any EA, by the way.
I don't
Sorry to
have any.
stop
What
you.
was that?
Executive assistant, or you any kind of
No,
assistant.
no, not at this time. Um, and so, to your point about for parents too, I think for both moms and dads, right? You're juggling
Yeah.
a lot in terms of calendars and your kids' activities. And so that's my chief of staff agent is doing that too. It's telling me, which kids have which practices and have to be there when, and what's conflicting with my meeting for work. And so I think that parents can really leverage it and anyone. I mean, we all have personal lives, right? Whether that involves.
Yes.
And so helping you juggle your different commitments, both personal and professionally. I think for anyone non-technical, I would definitely check out Super Agents and Base 44 for that. Um, and then, again, going back to just thinking through systems and what you can outsource in terms of the manual work. For a while, I was spending a lot of time with AI, just constantly testing new tools. And I had 15 different subscriptions, right? And fragmented tools. And what I've really tried to take a step back now, which frankly is a big time spent right now, but I think that the long-term payoff is going to be huge, is really setting up the systems and the infrastructure there. So to stop thinking about it in terms of like, oh, well, I can test this tool for this and this and this and this. But if no AI was involved in my workflow today, how am I spending my time? What am I doing? And which pieces of those do I want my human voice and judgment to really be involved, and what are the pieces that I could shave off hours of my day that it really doesn't need me and is frankly better done maybe by AI anyway. And that's where I'm leveraging it a lot. And a lot of my builds are happening again in that Base 44 through the Super Agent and their vibe coding apps. And then also I'm doing a lot in Claude co-work, primarily a little bit in code.
I don't want to. This is all gold, by the way. Thank you for sharing. And
Okay.
I don't want to trash lawyers, but I have to state that you are a lawyer, and the lawyers are usually not technical people.
Right.
And I was diplomatic here. Um, so how did you started with all this? Because so there is like maybe not applies to everyone, but it's sometimes generally applicable, that you need some like a wow moment with AI to
Mhm.
start digging deeper.
Mhm.
And we also say to everyone that you don't need like 50 different AI tools. You need one, maybe two, and go extremely deep with
Yes.
those
Yes.
because they're just so much easier.
Yes.
So, but still, the first step is really important to have the bravery to experiment with something. You casually mentioned that a lot of builds of mine and stuff like that, most founders don't have these builds days and hours
Yes.
because they just didn't start it, or I don't know, something. What was the like the trick point or the tipping point, sorry, tipping point for you where you felt that, oh, that's working,
Mhm.
I need to do more.
Mhm.
And how do you despite your, well, not now, but previous lawyer experience, lack of technical knowledge,
Mhm.
which is not a critique. That's normal for most
Yeah.
marketers. They usually don't have this technical. They're more creative,
Right.
less technical. Um, how did you end up working with that still? So,
Yeah.
because setting up workflows on Cloud Cowork, for example, I understand it's for us it's easier, but for most people, it
Right.
can be technical.
Right. Um, a lot of thoughts there. I think I want to give some context in that I think I landed where I am now and how deep I am in it because I have been bootstrapping a company for 7 years and a high growth company. And that has required a lot of discipline in terms of time and expenses. And
Mhm.
so I am always looking at things through a lens of how can I maximize my own time as a busy parent, founder, partner, all those things, while also continuing to grow my company in a way that keeps up with the other well funded companies. And we made a deliberate decision to remain bootstrapped, again, which goes similarly back to your question
Sure.
why we structured our team the way we did. It's because I started this company because I'm passionate about the problem and I wanted to run it the way I wanted to. And so we have continued bootstrapping it for that very reason. But as an inventory based business that can be very cash flow intensive, we have to be so deliberate about every minute we spend our efforts and resources on and every dollar we spend, right? And
Sure.
a couple of years ago when AI first came out, or I shouldn't say when it first came out, right? But when the large language models first became more accessible to people, I know AI has been around for a long time, but in the form we know it today, um, I started with Chat GPT and I just started asking it questions. And I remember that moment of like, this thing is talking back to me. And what does this mean? And then so I just started playing with it, right? And I was like, well, write me a blog post about, I don't even remember what it was, something within our kind of nursing parenthood space. And it wrote something again, which, as expected, with a terrible prompt and no context, would never have been anything I would have published but it opened my eyes to this is an incredible tool that is just kind of at its infancy. And so, what's to come with this? And so, frankly, I didn't do a ton with it then, but I did get signed up for newsletters and try and kind of keep up with what was happening. I found a couple key voices I wanted to follow in the space. And for a while, I was very distracted with some of these newsletters that are telling you like every new tool that launches every day. I had to, I had to scale back and find a couple key voices I wanted to listen to and figure out what was worth paying attention to and was relevant in my own life. Um, it wasn't, I would say, though, until the last year or so where I really made the shift from chatbot to using it more as an autonomous worker and these
Mhm.
agents. That blew my mind. And I will say that it was in my personal life first that it opened my eyes. And then I was like, oh, well, now what can I do with it on the work
So
side?
that's normal. Usually, how it starts. By the way.
Yeah. I had actually taken, I have, again, 3 kids at 2 different schools and in 3 different classrooms. And every week I get a newsletter with a million different activities. And tomorrow they need to wear
Oh yeah.
that and all the things, right? And I took those 3 different newsletters.
Previously, these lived on the fridge, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
yeah.
how you are with your
On
family,
the
but
fridge, partially in my brain,
yeah.
partially in my husband's brain. Kids mad at us constantly because we were always forgetting things, right? It was not a good system. And I took those newsletters and sent a photo to Claude, set up a connection with my calendar, and it immediately added all the different events to my calendar, invited my husband to the events too, set up reminders for me. And that was the big unlock for me. And I was just like, I mean, this is going to change my personal life and save me hours that we spend Sunday trying to work through those logistics that we now can go spend time with our kids, taking them somewhere, doing something. And so then I was like, okay, well, if I can do that at home, what can I do at work? Right. And I started again, just my first build was that chief of staff agent. Then I played around with the research and competitive intel agents, and I just started setting more and more things up. And I think, and this is what I tell any founder that I talk to about AI, which is you can read as many newsletters as you want, you can watch as many tutorials, but you just have to
Just start playing with something. Yes.
start small and start with one use case. Pick one thing that you do all the time and start asking. I mean, you can even go into Claude and just ask time on what would a workflow look like to automate, what parts of this could be automated. And it's going to help you brainstorm what to build and how to build it. And then I think just the more you do that, it's going to unlock more ideas in your head, and the options start to feel limitless. And then at some point you have to say, okay, well, I also have to run my business and I got to stop constantly spending all my time on AI, which is a little bit of where I'm at now. But yeah, you just have to start doing and figure it out as you go.
I think that was an amazing, I don't know, last note. Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
Seriously, this was wonderful. So when we started this conversation pre-live, I said that our audience is mainly B2B,
mhm.
and probably not part of your usual customer audience. But then I immediately corrected that. But hello, moms are everywhere. So
Right.
So if someone wants to check out your brand
Mhm.
or follow you somewhere, please share. They might
Yes.
find some customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So the brand is Larken, Rken. We're at shoplarken.com, and Instagram, I would say, is the channel we're most active on, and that's at Larken_shop. And then I always love connecting with folks about this or entrepreneurship in general. And so you can find me at katieblouin.com. That's my personal website. And then I'm on LinkedIn and Substack. So would love to connect.
Lovely. Thank you. All of these links will be placed in the show notes,
Great.
and you can follow the show notes on ai.cmo.com. It's that simple. Thank you
Wonderful.
for your time and the conversation. This was amazing.
Of course. Thank you.
You can go back to your agents now and run the company.
Great. Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good
Thank you
day.
for your time. Have a
Thank you.
lovely day and hope the weather will improve in Atlanta.
Yes. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Ciao, ciao.